Good evening, everyone. My name is Maritza Mercado Peachin. I work for the City of Richmond, where I am the Deputy Director for the Planning Department, and I'm in charge of the Office of Equitable Development. I am the moderator for tonight's meeting, and I will be helping the City and Urban One in running the meeting tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Leonard Sledge, the Director of Economic Development.
Thank you very much, Maritza. Good evening, everyone. And we really do appreciate you coming out to hear the information that we have to share tonight about the One Casino and Resort. We're really pleased to have representatives from the One Casino Resort team. I'll introduce them momentarily. But as Maritza mentioned, my name is Leonard Sledge, and it is my privilege to serve as the Director of Economic Development for the City of Richmond. Over the next hour to hour and 15 minutes, we have some slides that we'd like to share, which will take about 20 to 24 minutes. And then we have a Q&A via the Q&A feature, where we're more than glad to answer your questions about the project. This great project has been proposed by Urban One in partnership with Peninsula Pacific Entertainment to bring One Casino and Resort to the City of Richmond. As I've shared in other public meetings and with our city council, and also this is the same presentation that was shared last night with Richmond City Council with the introduction of the resolution to name One Casino and Resort as the preferred gaming operator for the city and their proposed project at the former Philip Morris Operations Center in South Richmond at the intersection of Commerce and Walmsley. But in terms of why this project, or why any economic development project, we are not pursuing this just for the purpose or the opportunity of having a casino, but with all of our economic development projects, it's an opportunity for us to address our priorities as a city. Priorities such as affordable housing, equitable economic development, jobs, poverty reduction, more funding for RPS, services for our citizens, and also ultimately building an economic base. And in doing so, I think it's always helpful for people to understand from a revenue generation standpoint, just how heavy the lift is in the city of Richmond. It takes approximately $84 million of assessed new real estate value to generate $1 million of new general fund real estate tax revenue. And that's at the current $1.20 per $100 of assessed value rate. 1 penny on our tax roll in fiscal year 20 equates to about $2.5 million in general fund revenue. And therefore, it takes about $210 million, $211 million of new assessed real estate tax value to get that same equivalent 1 penny on our tax roll. And so tonight, again, we're really pleased to have with us representatives from One Casino and Resort, Mr. Alfred Liggins, who is the CEO of Urban One. We also have their development partner and manager of the project, representatives from Peninsula Pacific Entertainment, Mr. Jamie Hartman, who serves as an executive vice president, and Mr. Karanja Augustine, who serves as a senior vice president and counsel. We also have from the city, of course, Maritza introduced herself, and we have Sharon Ebert, who serves as our deputy chief administrative officer for economic and community development. In terms of tonight, our time in the presentation, I'd just like to briefly recap a few things in the Virginia Casino Act, as well as our RFQ-RP timeline, give an overview of the resort casino project, share some of the details that are in the host community agreement term sheet, again, which was introduced to City Council last night, share an estimate of the 5-year general fund revenue to the City of Richmond, and then talk about the next steps as it relates to our community engagement and moving this project along in the process, which ultimately will lead to a voter referendum. So in 2020, excuse me, the Virginia General Assembly passed what we know of as, what we refer to rather as the Virginia Casino Act. And what the act allows is for 5 cities in the Commonwealth of Virginia to host a casino. And the legislation specifically gives characteristics of cities that ultimately lead to the cities of Bristol, Danville, Norfolk, and Portsmouth, and the city of Richmond being able to host a casino. In the 2020 general election, the other 4 cities, Bristol, Danville, Norfolk, and Portsmouth, they held voter referendums, and their citizens overwhelmingly approved casinos in those localities. One of the other things that's great about the Virginia Casino Act that's not too common, as I've come to understand and appreciate across the country, is the Virginia General Assembly had enough forethought to write in the legislation direct revenue opportunities for the localities that are hosting the casinos. And so by state statute, there is a gaming tax per se on the adjusted gross receipts from the casinos. And that's spelled out again in the Virginia Casino Act. And that is in addition to any of the normal statutory taxes that are paid by any business in the city of Richmond to the city, such as real estate, meals, lodging, sales tax, and so on. And later in the presentation, I will share a very conservative estimate of what we project those revenues to be over the first 5 years of the project. And ultimately, the decision is in the hand of Richmond voters. The city of Richmond, we opted to delay moving forward with this process until 2021. We wanted to understand more of what the opportunity truly presented, but also as expressed by our city council, we wanted to make sure that we had a competitive process. We really, so that we could identify the best project opportunity for Richmonders that would yield the greatest benefit and best value overall for the city of Richmond. And so through our RFP process, we have named one casino and resort, and we'll share a little bit more about the two organizations. But again, ultimately, all of this is tracking towards a referendum for the voters on November the 2nd, which time the voters will be able to vote yes or no as to whether or not they want to have casino gaming in the city of Richmond. We shared throughout this process, starting in December, our evaluation panel timeline. We're at the point, as evidenced by the fourth checkbox, where we have selected our operator and site. And in terms of the 9-member evaluation panel, we took into account requirements in the Virginia Casino Act and other criteria that can be categorized, into 5 overarching categories, such as the feasibility and sustainability of a project, the location of a project, the economic development impact that a project will have, financial revenue impacts, and community benefits. We are truly thankful and appreciative of the feedback that we've gotten from across the city since December that helped to inform the decision and recommendation as it relates to one casino and resort. And I'd also like to be very clear on this next point in terms of the city's investment. The city of Richmond will not, nor do we have any obligation to provide any funding for the development or operation of this resort casino project or any casino project in the city of Richmond. In fact, the Virginia Casino Act is very specific in stating that funding for public or private infrastructure required for the project is solely at the cost of the developer, the owner of the project. In addition, we've gone a step further to clearly state that there will be no abatements, exemptions, subsidies, incentives, rebates, financing, financial waivers, or any type of funding or tax relief for this project or for the life of the project. I would like to add one caveat that you will see in the term sheet, and that is as it relates to any types of beautification in the area immediately surrounding this proposed location on South Commerce Drive. We have reached agreement with one casino and resort that we would cost share equally 50-50, the city and the casino, in terms of beautification efforts within a quarter mile of the intersection of Walmsley and Commerce Drive. We both believe that it's mutually beneficial, again, just to improve the overall physical appearance of the area, in the public right of way. And so, again, really pleased to have made the recommendation of one casino and resort. The 9-member evaluation panel made this recommendation, and that recommendation was supported by Mayor Stoney, and again, introduced to Richmond City Council last night. This project will be owned by Urban One, and again, we're really pleased to have Mr. Alfred Liggins, the CEO of Urban One, on the line with us tonight. Urban One is a national multimedia powerhouse and the largest distributor of Black and urban content in the country. They have several stations here in the city of Richmond and are a growing entity as it relates to again, just various different types of media platforms. And also partnering with them in this project is Peninsula Pacific Entertainment as the developer and the manager of the project. Peninsula Pacific Entertainment is no stranger to the city of Richmond. in that they are the owner and operator of Rosie's Gaming Emporiums, including the location on the Midlothian Turnpike, and also in other localities across the Commonwealth of Virginia. They own and operate Colonial Downs Racetrack in Newton County, and also they're the owner and operator, and they have developed other casinos in the country. And so in terms of the location, again, the former Philip Morris Operations Center, which is located in South Richmond at 2001 Walmsley Boulevard. Also, there's another parcel that makes up the development site, 4700 Trenton Avenue. The entire site is approximately 108 acres, but for this project, the owner will be purchasing 97 acres of property. The entire site has an assessed value in 2021 of $35.6 million. That equates to roughly $420,000 a year in real estate tax revenue. It's also important to note that this property has been for sale since 2009, according to media reports. It has direct access north and south on I-95. Again, it's at the intersection of Walmsley and Commerce, and it is served by GRTC Route 88. The site is zoned M2, and all of the project's proposed uses are allowed by right. Features of the project include a 250-room luxury hotel, resort amenities such as a pool, spa, and fitness center, of course, a casino. But I think in that, it's very important for us to all hear and understand that this project is more than just a casino. It is actually an entertainment destination, and that there is a 3,000 person event center for live entertainment. Also, there will be television and film production that takes place on this site, as there will be a 15,000 square foot soundstage for creating new content for TV and film, radio production. Also, there's convention and meeting space, and of course, all of the parking requirements. But as Richmond is a city of foodies and we love our craft beverages, the project will feature some of the best of Richmond's restaurants, local restaurants as well. And we've purposefully have negotiated some terms to help ensure that Richmond businesses are able to thrive as a result of this project. So in terms of some of the highlights in the term sheet, and the term sheet again was introduced. It's a 20-page document. It was introduced last night during Richmond City Council meeting. You can find it in the Legistar system, and by tomorrow it should be posted on the city's economic development website as well on our resort casino page. The project is approximately $562 million, 1 million square feet under roof, and that includes a structured parking garage. Again, I mentioned 250 hotel rooms, and I'd also like there is pad space on the site, such that if the business requires and demands more hotel rooms, there is space on the current site to build another hotel tower. The entertainment venue will be 3,000 people, 3,000 person capacity. They have an agreement with Live Nation, again, to book larger acts at the venue as well. There'll be a 55-acre green space and public park that will be developed and maintained by the property owner, and that is not at the expense of the city. The project will be designed and built to LEED Silver standards. We mentioned the 15,000 square foot TV and film production studio, and we're really excited as that creates an opportunity, again, to expand the film and TV industry in the city of Richmond and in Central Virginia, and add additional economic investment. One of the other exciting facets of the proposal is the point and reward program. As customers of one casino and resort earn points because of dollars spent there, we've made it a priority that those points can be used at local businesses in the city of Richmond, organizations and venues, so that patrons of the resort casino, if they want to get a discount at, you name any restaurant that's participating in this program in the city of Richmond, they'll be able to get a discount, if not a free meal, as well as admission to other venues. And another key component is this opportunity will not cost Richmond businesses anything to participate. It'll be a value add for them, we believe, as a result of this project. And also the food and beverage plan, as we mentioned, the project will feature 15 food and beverage options, and that will include at least 4 non-food hall options, so thinking more along the lines of sit-down restaurants. And the opportunity for Richmond local businesses in that is that 50% of the non-sit-down options will be local food restaurants, and those same businesses will have the right of first refusal, or Richmond businesses will have the right of first refusal for 3 of the sit-down restaurants. The casino owner will pay for the tenant build-out costs, and we also have negotiated 4 months of free rent for the local businesses, again, who are operating a business at the resort casino. There'll be space for Richmond Region Tourism to have a desk or kiosk. Also, we know Richmond is a city that appreciates great art. The developer, the owner, has committed to at least $500,000 worth of art in the project, and making sure that at least 35% of that total spend will be Richmond artists creating content or featuring their work in the resort casino. The resort casino will also have a rotating art walls that will act as exhibit space also for local artists. Public safety, as we've had community engagement about the project, public safety, again, was a point that was raised by citizens. We've negotiated into the term sheet that our public safety team, specifically thinking of RPD, will have access to a security room to respond to incidents, process arrestees, and conduct investigations as they occur. And also RPD will have real-time access to the exterior cameras on the property. We refer to the public and private infrastructure. Again, all public and private infrastructure that's required for the project, whether it be roads, utilities, what have you, that is the sole responsibility of the owner of the project. They will be submitting a TIA, a traffic impact analysis, to the city no later than December the 1st, 2021. And in some of my earlier comments, I did mention the area beautification, again, just to improve the physical appearance of the area within a quarter mile of the intersection of Walmsley and Commerce, and that will be a 50-50 cost share between the city and the developer. The target open date, the goal is December the 31st, 2023. We do have a provision that if this project is not open by December 31st, 2024, the city will have the right to exercise, if it desires, a forced sale of the project. And again, there is no city funding for this project, as I've mentioned. And I think that's very important. We've positioned this, again, to be a net plus for the city of Richmond. Also recognizing that as gaming grows in the Commonwealth of Virginia, whether it be the other 4 cities that can host a resort casino, or the growth of historic horse racing, we have negotiated mitigation payment in the event that the planned facility in Dumfries or Prince William County, Virginia, becomes a Class 3 facility. There is a formula by which the city would receive a mitigation payment if we see a reduction in the casino gaming receipts after any such facility opens. Also, historic horse racing, or specifically Peninsula Pacific Entertainment, they've generously agreed to make a $150,000 donation to the Richmond Public Schools Education Foundation as a result of this project. And in terms of revenue to the city, upon passage and certification of the voter referendum, there's a $25 million one-time payment that will be made to the city. These funds will be deposited into escrow upon City Council approving the host community agreement. And so in theory, those funds could be deposited with council's approval as early as July of this year. And then within 30 days of the passage of a voter referendum and certification of the referendum, those funds will be moved from escrow to the city's general fund. In terms of ongoing payments to the city, and this is in addition to the statutory gaming tax payments that are required by law in the Virginia Casino Act. We have successfully negotiated an additional 3% of revenue to the city based on the adjusted gross gaming receipts. And that will be a minimum of $5 million annually starting in January of 2025. We also will receive a percentage of the owner's revenue share of on-site sports betting. And there's one caveat to this, and that's only for the 2024 calendar year, as an incentive to encourage the developer and the owner to open as quickly as possible. That 3% ongoing payment can be reduced to as little as 1.875%, but only for the 2024 calendar year. Anything beyond that will be at that 3% in terms of the ongoing annual payments to the city. terms of jobs, the owner is projecting to create 1,300 directly hired jobs for the resort casino. There's also an additional 200 jobs that are estimated to be created from third-party companies or the local businesses who are operating in the resort casino. In terms of jobs for Richmonders, we have a good faith effort, a goal of 60%, because we really do want to leverage and use this as an opportunity to get as many Richmonders to work and into better paying jobs as well. And One Casino on Resort is wholly committed to that as well. In terms of wages, the average annual compensation package for all of the direct employees is $55,000 a year. And that includes wages, tips, bonuses, benefits, payroll, and other related expenses. And we've also have established a hard floor at $15 an hour as the minimum pay for tipped and non-tip positions for direct hires of the resort casino. So in other words, if an employee is working in a tipped position, and if the base pay for that tip position is $5 an hour, and if they only earn $5, an additional $5 in tips, the owner of the project will true them up to $15, will pay that additional $5 to the employee so that they keep that $15 an hour minimum. We have a goal for MBE participation during the construction and the operation of the project. So before the issuance of a certificate of occupancy and after. And that goal is 40% for minority business enterprises and emerging small businesses. We also have goals as it relates to construction jobs for Richmonders. And these goals are synonymous to the goals that we have in place for the redevelopment of the public safety building site. In terms of construction wages, the minimum wage will be the prevailing wage rate for the city of Richmond according to the Davis-Bacon Act, and no less than $15 an hour. So again, there's a floor of $15 an hour for all construction wages associated with this project. We've also made it a point to ensure that members of labor unions are able to participate in this project. There's a goal of 40% of non-skilled and skilled union labor personnel to be a part of this project as well. The project through Urban One Resort and Casino through the Community One program will also donate $16 million over the first 10 years of the project. And that includes $6 million for the Office of Community Welfare in the Richmond Public Schools and research initiatives. That's in addition to the incremental payments and the one-time payment and the statutory payments that I mentioned in the previous slide or two. And in terms of the research initiatives, one of the things that we heard, again, as we did community engagement, was people wanting to understand the impacts of gaming. And the intent of setting aside some funding for research initiatives is to partner with, we have 3 great research universities in the city: Virginia Union University, the University of Richmond, and Virginia Commonwealth University, but to work with the 3 of them collaboratively to do some research so that we better understand collectively the social and economic impacts of gaming. And I believe that will be a first in the Commonwealth of Virginia, as I do not believe any other locality that is hosting any type of gaming establishment is doing that. And so again, we just want to take some proactive steps in that regards. As it relates to problem gambling or problem gaming, in the Virginia Casino Act, each person, each business company that's operating a casino, they are required to pay a percentage of their gaming receipts to the Commonwealth of Virginia that's specifically used for problem gaming or gambling addiction. We wanted to go a step beyond that, again, just taking into account what we heard during our community engagement. And One Casino and Resort has committed up to $200,000 annually to fund mental health professionals and resources to prevent and to treat problem gambling in the city of Richmond. And again, that is over and above what they're required to pay to the Commonwealth of Virginia. In terms of transit mobility solutions, $325,000 annually they'll provide to support transit mobility solutions to support the travel of their employees to and from work. And it's important to recognize that that's not just a GRTC route enhancement solution. That's taking into account ride share, shuttles, buses, vans, carpools, van pools, you name it. But they have a commitment, again, just to help ensure that the employees are able to go to and from work easily. In terms of expenses reimbursed to the city, up to $500,000 for the city's expenses as we've gone through this RFP process, as we've hired consultants but they will reimburse us up to $500,000 for expenses. Also, one of the things I think that Urban One and the One Casino and Resort project is uniquely positioned to provide the city is $25 million over 10 years to advertise in advertising time and space for public service announcements, education, tourism promotion, you name it, across their various media platforms. And they have a very wide reach and a very broad audience. I think it's an excellent opportunity for us to continue to promote and communicate all of the things that we know and love about the city of Richmond. And as we mentioned, the 15,000 square feet sound studio, Urban One and One Casino and Resort has committed to spend $50 million over the first 10 years of the project to produce television, movie, and audiovisual content right here in the city of Richmond. They are required to make quarterly reports to us starting in July 2022. And so those are some of the highlights, again, of the term sheet that we negotiated. And the full term sheet, again, was introduced to Richmond City Council. And again, it will be posted to the city's economic development website. This slide here shows very conservative revenue estimates to the city's general fund. On the left, we see the current state in terms of the Philip Morris Operations Center, in terms of the real estate tax revenue that's generated. Again, approximately $420,000 a year at the current assessments over 5 years, just over $2.1 million. And with the proposed One Casino and Resort on 97 acres at the project site, we conservatively project $171 million in new general fund revenue to the city. And the reason that I say conservative is because we use their low estimates and then we cut some beyond that. Again, just to create our revenue estimates. And that's taking into account the one-time payment of $25 million, the projected real estate tax from the project. Again, the revenue on the casino adjusted gross receipts, and that's both the statutory and the incremental tax, the 3% that they will pay to the city of Richmond, business personal property tax, admissions tax, lodging, meals, and sales tax. I'd like to note that it doesn't include all revenue sources, that number, such as business license tax and any other fees and taxes that may be applicable as it relates to the city of Richmond. Again, I cannot state enough that this is a conservative estimate. And as I also mentioned, in terms of the footnote point number 2, with the one-time payment to the city, that will be paid to the city within 30 days of the passage and certification of the results from the referendum, the $25 million. So in terms of where we're at the start of this process, we shared our community engagement plan, and we are right on target with number 3 in terms of our recommendation. In the evaluation panel, we've made the recommendation of One Casino and Resort. We've shared that recommendation and it has been introduced to City Council. And tonight is our first public meeting beyond the introduction last night for us to share the material. This meeting will be posted, also the video of it, on the city's economic development website. We will be sharing information in council district meetings. Tomorrow night will be with Councilmember Lambert in the 3rd district, on Thursday night in District 1 with Councilmember Addison, and on Saturday morning, the 6th district with Councilmember Robinson. And also tomorrow, I'll be giving sharing some very brief comments in the 7th district meeting with Councilmember Newbill, and of course, scheduling another time, spend some more time with the citizens in the 7th district. Once we go through the process, again, should council adopt it, and we're hopeful that they will, because we believe we've negotiated a strong project. We have a great project opportunity in front of us. Once it moves forward, there is a pre-certification process that the owner has to go through with the Virginia Lottery Board, all going towards the petition for the court. And from June to November, we will be continuing to engage and inform our citizens to discuss the project, to talk about, the what is and what is not of the project. And then ultimately on November the 2nd, every voting Richmonder will have the opportunity to cast their ballot to say yes or no as to whether or not they would like to have casino gaming in the city of Richmond at the site, the former Philip Morris Operations Center, with One Casino and Resort being our preferred operator. Our commitment since the onset of this project has been to identify and to negotiate the best project possible for Richmonders to ultimately vote yes or no on. And I do sincerely believe we have done that. So I just kind of shared some of the next steps, again, as it relates to moving this through City Council's process. Also, there's a pre-certification with the Virginia Lottery Board that the owner operator has to go through. We will be, with council's consent of the term sheet, we will be drafting the full and complete host community agreement, which will go back to City Council for approval. And then again, as another critical step is filing the petition with the Circuit Court to hold the November 2nd voter referendum. And then, of course, on November the 2nd, everyone gets to vote. And so again, here is our timeline. There's another beautiful rendering of the project. And that is all that I have to share. And I'll turn it back over to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Leonard. Leonard, keep sharing your screen because otherwise everyone just gets a very large video.
Got it.
So if you put it on the side, that would be great. One question that we have, so if you are, that's perfect. So if you are joining us on the internet and you're looking at this on a web browser, you should have a screen where you can enter a question into a Q&A. And so one question that we have received is, and Leonard, you mentioned this during the presentation, but we might have missed it. If approved, what's the construction timeline? When can we expect an opening date?
Great question. The target opening date is December the 31st, 2023. And I'm sure Mr. Liggins can expound on their desire to be aggressive as they can to open this project.
Yeah. I'm happy to, Maritza, if you, I don't know if you want to share it on my screen, but no, absolutely. First, thank you, Leonard and Maritza. Thank you to the city and the evaluation committee for choosing One Casino and Resort as the preferred operator. I'd also like to thank the citizens of Richmond who have many of which have shown their support for the project through emails, signing up for our various teletown halls, whether it's also showing their support through pictures with some of our wearables that have been starting to matriculate through the city. But it has not been lost on us that the city of Richmond has been very supportive of this project as well, all the way down to the citizens. A very focused city of Richmond economic developer, Mr. Sledge, wants a very tight time frame in terms of which One Casino and Resort will be built, and the negotiations actually really focused on that, including some incentives for us to get open within a 2-year time frame of essentially the referendum passing. If the referendum, when the referendum passes, we got to think positively. In November, you'll dot the I's and cross the T's and close out everything and look to break down in January. And our goal is to get it done by the end of 2023, and all economic incentives, including the project's ability to generate revenue, will push our company to make sure that happens. Our company and Peninsula Entertainment as well. And there's also a pretty severe penalty if we're late on that. The forced sale option is something that we agreed to because we have every confidence that we'll be able to meet the timetable. We're going to be working with a great construction team, Horrigan construction team, Henry and Pinta, and so approximately about 2 years from ground break is when we expect this project to open.
Mr. Liggins, I'd just like to add clarity on one thing you said, because typically when we say incentives, people think that we're foregoing something statutory or what have you. And I'd just like to reiterate to everyone that the incentive for the project opening early is a temporary reduction of the additional payment that they have agreed to make to the city as a percentage. And so it's not an incentive. We're not rebating any real estate tax, financing anything. It's the incremental additional payment that we have negotiated that we are reducing as much from 3% to as much as 1.875% only for the 2024 calendar year. And that's something that the city would not have gotten anyway without this project.
Thank you. Another question from the chat is, how will the convention hall impact downtown's convention center? Can you speak, I guess, Alfred, to the nature of the convention hall, the convention space that you're proposing within the casino resort?
Yeah, so our convention space will be multi-purpose. You've got a 3,000 seat theater that also has add-on convention space, probably I think of, almost 20,000 square feet. Then we got breakout rooms that'll be in the hotel. And so I believe the types of convention, first of all, our footprint is going to be much smaller than the downtown convention center. And so I envision our convention business to be, more bespoke and specific, whether it's, smaller trade groups, social groups like sororities, et cetera, and smaller business groups, and not more full scale convention business. So I don't think ultimately, I think we're an enhancement to the city's convention trade and not a replacement. And so we have the ability to do conventions and events during the day, and then to be able to convert to a country music concert that evening that might start at 8 p.m. So to be multi-purpose and I think very tailored and specific. And again, we're also dealing with a 250 room hotel and not necessarily in a position to be tapping all of the different hotel options that are downtown that could feed the larger convention center.
Yes. So go ahead, Leonard.
I was going to say it's one of the it's not if people think of this as a full service hotel, it is not uncommon for full service hotels to have a set amount of meeting room space, and beyond that, what you really have is an entertainment venue as well with the 3,000 seat theater, and so it's a great question in terms of the impact, what impact this could have to the convention center. From an economic development standpoint, I like to think of it as a net attractor for tourism in the region, which can help attract more business to the convention center ultimately. But it is customary for projects of this size with this many hotel rooms to have meeting room space.
I would add, just looking quickly at the convention center specs, it's the Greater Richmond Convention Center is a very large facility, a huge facility to host very, very large events, and that's not the convention function that the one casino and resort is proposing. They're not proposing such an enormous space, so it will be a bit different. Another question: will Urban One own 100% of the equity, or will P2E, that's Peninsula Pacific Entertainment, have ownership as well? Besides some tiny minority owners, are there any other large owners?
The answer is that the common equity is spoken for by Urban One. We've agreed and offered already about 10% of the project to local Richmond investors, and more than 50 local people have banded with us and looked and pledged to invest and support the one casino resort. I'm, from a personal standpoint, will make an investment in it as well. The Urban One portion of the equity, Urban One's controlled and primarily owned, close to 50%. Just about 50% of the common equity in Urban One is owned by my mother, Kathy Hughes, and myself. So this will, be clearly a minority-owned, venture. Peninsula Pacific owns no common equity whatsoever. They have agreed to put up a small slice of, essentially it's a small slice of debt, at a very attractive interest rate, even though the debt acts like, in terms of its rights, that it has equity. It has equity subordination type features in terms of the construction debt. So they don't have any voting rights. They don't have any rights to force any actions. They don't have any board seats. So they don't own any common equity. They got no rights, no upside. And the coupon on that debt was very attractive at just 5%. So, this is an Urban One and local investor project through and through in terms of the equity ownership.
Great, thank you for that. Leonard, under point 4, under the community engagement, is to engage and inform. How will this happen, and who will be handling that initiative? The next stage in the engagement process.
Yeah. So we are, obviously still very mindful of COVID-19, and we're always consciously doing all we can to preserve the health and safety of people, even with things getting relaxed. Unless informed otherwise, based on health district and CDC and city protocols, we will continue with virtual meeting formats. We have also used community ambassadors to go out and share literature in the neighborhoods. The virtual meeting format allows us to have as many people participating as possible. And obviously when we are able to go back to live in-person meetings, again, just exercising the appropriate protocols, we're more than glad to do so. The city, between the Department of Economic Development, between Maritza as the Deputy Director of Planning and Development Review, and our communications teams, we will be out primarily and predominantly through the City Council district meetings. As I shared, there are a number this week that we'll be at sharing information, and I'm sure that Mr. Liggins and his colleague will be doing a lot of information sharing over the next several months as well.
That's correct. We plan to be at Councilwoman Lambert's district meeting, and also Councilwoman Robertson's district meeting.
And I imagine that there'll be a lot of those where if you see one of us, you're going to see both of us.
Yeah.
In terms of a representative from the city and a representative from the One Casino and Resort team.
I want to take this opportunity to anyone who's on the phone. You can press *6 to unmute and ask a question aloud. Okay, I don't see anyone doing that. So, okay, go ahead. Your last 4 digits are 2899.
Hello?
Yes. You have a question? Oh, yes, go for it.
I'm sorry, I keep getting unmuted and muted. What process will you put in place to ensure that minority-owned contractors and supply companies will be part of this process?
That was part of our impetus from the very beginning. Yeah, when the legislation was actually moving through the General Assembly the first time, I lobbied on behalf of Urban One and also minority inclusion, first and foremost across the state, to get legislators to actually include minority contracting language into the state bill, and then by the time the Richmond process came around, the city did a wonderful job of running their own question and information gathering process that informed their RFP, which was laden with the desire to have projects that fit the mold of that model of inclusion. In our proposal, we committed upfront to these minority contracting goals. We have engaged a local firm, KJI, to do our DE&I contracting effort and compliance, and it's it's woven throughout the entire project, and it's also it's in the DNA of who Urban One is as a company, and quite frankly, it was the impetus that created the opportunity for us to even be chosen for as the preferred casino operator here. So we definitely have a plan. We're engaging a local company and team to execute on that. On the construction side, Horrigan Construction is teamed up with Team Henry as our MBE general contractor, and they will go out and they will form the additional subcontracting relationships to make sure that we meet and exceed our contracting goals for minorities. And that's just not in the construction, but we've got ongoing contracting goals in the project as well.
Thank you, Alfred. And this might work for Leonard first, and maybe Alfred can pick up after it. I have a couple questions about Peninsula Pacific having the satellite gambling sites, and then also, or having the Colonial Downs, and then also the off-track betting at Rosie's on Midlothian and other gaming facilities in the area. Can you talk, Leonard, in the term sheet about how the term sheet helps manage that? And then Alfred, if you have anything to add on to that.
Sure.
Yeah, so our term sheet does not speak to how Peninsula Pacific Entertainment manages any of their operations. We acknowledge and we appreciate the fact, again, that Peninsula Pacific Entertainment, they've made considerable investments throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia in terms of Rosie's Gaming Emporiums, the operation of the racetrack at Colonial Downs in Newton County. And, they've partnered with Mr. Liggins and Urban One to serve as the developer and the manager of One Casino and Resort, leveraging their expertise from having developed, owned and managed their own casinos. What our agreement does take into account, as I shared, is, and this was reflected in the study done by Convergent Strategy Group, if a large similar facility opens up in Dumfries or Prince William County, and that's Class 3, which means full-scale casino gaming, and if we see a drop or a decline in revenues by formula, there's a mitigation payment. But I think it's important for people to understand is they have, as the manager of the facility under contract with Mr. Liggins and Urban One, as the manager of a facility, they have responsibilities and requirements to fulfill as well. And so for us, for the city of Richmond, we appreciate the work that they have done. some people have asked, and it's no secret, well, has Urban One developed a casino before? No, they haven't. It's also no secret that they are an investor in a very large casino project, resort casino project, MGM National Harbor. But from the evaluation panel standpoint, we were more than sufficiently satisfied with the partnership and collaboration with Peninsula Pacific Entertainment, again, as the developer and manager of the facility.
And I would add to that, not only do we have 7 years of experience being MGM's partner and marketing partner up in National Harbor, but we've built and continue to manage large scale businesses that have had partnerships, and this one with Peninsula is structured so that they are very incentivized to perform, not only for Urban One and our partners, but also for the city of Richmond. The structure of the deal is completely performance based, so they get a percentage of the revenue and they get a percentage of the profits, and these aren't large percentages, so they need to get to a certain scale level that is basically projected out in both the studies that the city's consultant has done, and also the state's past surveys, in order to reach their real economic potential. Urban One controls the board of directors. We set the budgets. There are penalties for failure to meet budget. We've structured a deal that we think gives us sufficient downside protection, but also has a significant carrot, if you will, for the manager to perform at the very highest level. We got One Casino Resort is going to be a very different product than the Rosie's Gaming Emporium experience. This is a full-scale casino with blackjack, roulette, poker, high-limit slots, entertainment, restaurants. So much larger, so much different in terms of its programming. It will be a product that will reach a broader range of customers that are going to come visit it. So we got comfortable that there wasn't enough of a conflict to forego the knowledge base that Peninsula Entertainment has built in the Commonwealth of Virginia over the last 4 years, and in the city of Richmond from operating here already.
Thank you, Alfred. Can you speak? A question in the chat is, are there any plans to open a smaller venue prior to the opening of the full casino hotel?
Great question, because I know that during many of the public engagements that we had, I talked to that. I spoke to it. I said we would be the first to open, the first to generate tax revenue, and if there were questions asked, we have a large enough site, such that we could have opened a temporary facility, and I think as some of the other jurisdictions are actually thinking about doing. However, the city and Mr. Sledge were most focused on making sure that they got the best resort casino in the Commonwealth up as fast as possible, and didn't want any potential delay or risk of delay. So we moved away from the idea of any sort of temporary facility, and are focused on one phase of construction, and quite frankly, that's a great incentive for us, because the only way that you generate revenue is to have the full facility open, and so we are bypassing that notion and moving to full build.
Great, thank you, Alfred. One question is, City of Richmond residents vote on the casino. How can Henrico, Hanover, Chesterfield County residents express their support? Yes, it is just City of Richmond residents who get to vote at the polls. Those are the only folks who get a say, and you get to vote if you're registered to vote in the City of Richmond. So that's confusing for some people because some people's address is Richmond, but they actually live in Henrico, or Chesterfield. So if you voted in the last election last year and on your ballot you had an option to vote for the mayor of Richmond, then that means you live within the city. But if you didn't have that option and you still live out in the county, you will not be able to vote to help support the resort casino.
Maritza, that is, it's a great question. While citizens in the surrounding counties will not be able to vote for the project, they certainly can continue to express their support in other ways. I mean, the reality is this will be an entertainment destination for Central Virginia that will be on the south side of Richmond, in an area at a location that is highly accessible and providing a number of different types of entertainment experiences. I'm actually really excited to go see an MMA match at the theater at some point in the future. And so it's again, a regional entertainment destination that will provide lots and lots of jobs for Richmonders. And the reality is that they will provide some employment opportunities for individuals who live outside of the city as well. But the city of Richmond ultimately will be the beneficiary, again, just from the revenue that's generated and other things that it will do to enhance, the overall economic vibrancy in the city. And so I would say it's one of really appreciate individuals from outside of the city listening in and hearing information about the project. From my standpoint, it's telling people the objective truth about the project in terms of what's in the term sheet and the deal negotiated.
Yeah, and I just like to add on to that. This is going to be a destination for Central Virginia and actually up and down the East Coast here. But if you live in the county or one of the counties, you probably have relatives, co-workers, friends that live in the city. And if you're on this call, that means you're probably more knowledgeable, than they are about the benefits that this project is going to have to the city of Richmond. So encouraging them to engage and get out and vote and express, their support is more than welcome, right? It's about momentum. It's about showing what the positive aspects of this project will be for the city. So spreading the word and helping to build momentum will help ensure a successful referendum and bring this project to fruition for everybody.
But it's as a time check for everyone, it's 7 o'clock now. We have about 15 more minutes left for questions.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Go ahead and ask your question.
As a small business owner in the community of the Manchester area, I've seen that the casino has Live Nation as contract, but do you all work with local promoters and small businesses to do ventures for entertainment, for talents, and also sports and boxing?
Yes, 100%. Local promoters will, have access to the venue for 100%. Certain. You're probably already clients of Urban One in some form or fashion through our radio stations over the last 20 years. The relationship with Live Nation will be utilized really to tap into the larger name acts that Live Nation controls. So acts like Jay-Z and Madonna make exclusive deals with Live Nation because they own most of the desirable facilities around the country for sure, and they're global as well. And so in order to tap into a lot of these tours, you need to be partnered with either them or another company called AEG. But that's going to fill a portion of our 200 nights of entertainment. Right. So, we've got, plenty of other nights, that we'll need to, work with really creative and ambitious partners and marketers and promoters to fill. So that's 100% yes.
Mr. Liggins, would you take a moment for those who may not know and talk about and just speak to the broad range of formats that Urban One has across the country and also even within the city of Richmond to help people gain a greater appreciation of again, just the multitude of different types of acts that would come and perform at this entertainment destination.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. This is going to be a casino and an event center and resort for all. Even though Urban One is the largest creator distributor of urban content, because we own 70 plus radio stations, most of them urban, probably have 225 radio stations we don't own that carry our content. We've got 2 cable networks, TV One and Clio, many different websites, including News One and Gossip and Madame Noir and the social network Black Planet. And we've got amazing relationships with all of the record companies because we control a lot of airplay for the #1 genre of music, in the country, which is urban. But that gives us, relationships in order to, pull in artists of other genres, whether it's country or rock or top 40. That's also where Live Nation comes in. But also in the city of Richmond, Urban One has an operating agreement with Summit Communications, which means that we actually work together and operate as unit. So that includes K95, the top rated country station, WKLR Classic Rock, ESPN Sports, the adult contemporary station Drive. And so we have the marketing ability and access across all genres. We've got the access to record labels for the different genres, and our partner Live Nation not only will have exclusive relationships with the top urban artists, but they'll have exclusive relationships with the top pop country and rock artists. So you will see, as Mr. Sledge said, before, you will see MMA fights. You will see Toby Keith doing a country concert, and you're going to see Mary J. Blige. That's the that's the vision. That's the business plan for this resort. So very multicultural and a resort for all.
Thank you for that overview. Are SWAM firms included in the 40% MBE goal? And I think they're meaning probably SWAM for people is small, women, and minority, versus MBE, which is minority business enterprise.
Yeah, in the term sheet, the 40% goal is for minority business enterprises and emerging small businesses.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Someone asked a question, I can't find it now, but they wanted to know a little bit more about problem gaming and what kind of programs, I guess, how you train people and how you manage problem gaming in your patrons.
Yeah, Karanja or Jamie, you want to talk about what Peninsula's done, in their other facilities? Karanja Augustine is the general counsel at P2E.
Sure. So every single employee on property will be trained to identify the signs of problem gambling, and we'll have protocols to have that person then given to an individual that would allow them to seek treatment, and get information about where to seek treatment. We're going to have a partnership that's modeled after our New York property with mental health professionals that are trained in addiction services, both for treatment and prevention, including signage, information on how to identify the signs of problem gambling, and then that's in addition to what's required by the state. They're going to do their own problem gambling program that we'll also abide by.
And I also recall from our conversations and your proposals, voluntary exclusion programs as well, and a host of other things.
Yeah, so the state's going to require a voluntary self-exclusion program, which for people who don't know is a program that allows individuals to exclude themselves all the way from life, in which case they cannot come back on property and they'll be identified, they'll be removed from property, and they can, or they can exclude themselves for 5 years, 1 year, 3 months, or what have you. That's correct.
Thank you very much for all that. I should have asked it before when we were talking about all the features, but another question that someone asked about features was, will there be a nightclub inside the casino?
That's a very good question. As we start to develop the real details of food and beverage, bar, lounge options, we're going to consider that. Off the top of my head, I probably envision there being more of a lounge, or lounges opportunity that have the ability to have music and a DJ where people could dance, if they wish, as opposed to a traditional nightclub. So, that's what MGM National Harbor actually has. They've got a place called Felt that's right off of the of the casino floor, and it's a great bar with an outside terrace, and it's got an area to dance in. And so I'm going to do some more research in terms of other other options and concepts, but off the top of my head, I see it more as a lounge with music DJ opportunity, as opposed to the traditional nightclub with a velvet rope and people dancing in a dark room.
Great, thank you, Alfred. I've got a couple questions about minority businesses being able to get involved or offer their services for construction and or operating as permanent on-site vendors. How do people contact you all to find out more about vendor opportunities?
Yeah, I would say go to the onecasinoresort.com website, register your interest there. But we will be putting together not only job fairs, obviously, for employment, but fairs for contracting and vendor opportunities. We just have not, now that we're chosen, we don't want to put the cart before the horse, but we'll work with our DE&I company to develop that outreach, such that that people they won't miss the opportunity to to come in and pitch being, included. And there will be a communication plan to make sure that everybody knows, what the opportunity is, when the opportunity for that arises.
Thank you. I just pushed a couple of announcements with the onecasinoresort.com website URL. And I also pushed one with the URL for the city's casino, resort casino information page. I just Googled RVA casino and you get the city's website right away. And then you can also Google One Casino and that will get you the Urban One Casino. Leonard, we can still see your screen, just so you know. We have 4 more minutes for questions, and I will add this one to the mix, Leonard. There's a question about wanting to know about, I'll read the comment. Please provide further clarification. As a resident of the 9th District in South Richmond, I have seen how the Rosie's gaming facility has further degraded that area of Midlothian Turnpike with open prostitution, increased crime, and drug activity. How can we ensure that Casino One will not have the same effect in yet another part of South Richmond? Also, will One Casino provide funding and be involved in community safety?
I'm sorry, Maritza, what was the last part of that?
Will One Casino and Resort provide funding and be involved in community safety?
Got it. So in terms of the current state, ultimately I'm going to defer to the Richmond Police Department to provide any type of crime statistics. The data that I've seen does not suggest any large upticks or any abnormal activity as it relates to any type of crime or breaking of laws in the area where Rosie's Gaming Emporium is on Midlothian Turnpike. Again, this is a topic that we've heard as we had our community engagement, and again, wanting to ensure that Richmond Police Department, that one, they have an opportunity or a place where they can go and again conduct real-time investigations and process arrestees and have real-time access to the camera systems on site on the exterior of the building. And also ensuring that there are appropriate opportunities as there are large-scale events or events of any sort, anything that requires extra duty, for there to be a strong preference for Richmond Police Department officers to be able to participate in those opportunities. And so we think that, again, we believe that this will be a great resort project. We think that it will be an overall net positive for South Richmond for this particular corridor, a strong redevelopment on a site that again has been on the market for sale since at least 2009 and create a lot of opportunities. Again, not saying that those activities will not happen. I can't predict or forecast what the future will hold, but that would be true for I think any type of project where again we just can't predict what will happen. Go ahead, Alfred.
Yeah, I was going to say, and as an add-on, you gotta know. I mean, our experience has been when you put up a project like we're proposing, that crime actually dissipates, and the reasons for that are significant investment. You're now bringing to that area thousands of people that are going to be witnesses to any particular kind of potential criminal activity. You're bringing surveillance cameras, which are not there currently at the level that they will be when we open this. We're going to bring our own private security force as well, and we're also going to bring a heightened awareness from the RPD and a partnership with them. So I think that will improve the security in the area. And the other thing I would also say is that our neighbors are Philip Morris, Altria, Amazon, and Brother. Yeah, you got DuPont down there, the Port of Richmond, and all of those organizations, probably have their own sort of security protocols, as well. So I think this is going to be a net positive from a safety, a public safety standpoint. And yes, we're going to invest, heavily in security and in securing and the safety in our area. In fact, I'm sure that the state is going to have significant regulation in terms of the level of security that's going to need to be allowed for anybody who's going to hold a gaming license in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
And Mr. Liggins, I would imagine it's in your best interest to ensure that
I wasn't going to say something flip like there's going to be a lot of revenue and cash that's going to be passing through the facility, and so it would be in our best interest to make sure that the area is secure and safe for all.
Right. That's the point.
I'd like to add to that a little bit, and the convergence strategies at the city hired a consulting group that does a lot of work with casinos across the country and studies these casinos across the world. Has talked about and talked to police chiefs from different cities where there are casinos, and none of them have remarked on there being like a huge increase in crime beyond like anything that you'd expect when there's just people being in a place where there were no people before. So that's just one thing that I encourage everyone to look at. The Convergence Strategies marketing or report is on our website, and I posted that in the announcements. A question that someone asked, and then there's so many more that keep coming in, so this is great. That one person asked was, what happens if voters vote no in November? I've answered this in other forums, and we don't really know what happens. I mean, we wouldn't get a casino. Let's say that. That would be voters saying no to a casino at Walmsley, operated by Urban One and P2E. We don't know if then the General Assembly would continue to let Richmond have another referendum. We don't know the answer to that question entirely. But Leonard, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I'd like to answer the question a little more directly. What happens if we vote no is we don't have the opportunity for 1,300 new jobs in the city that have an average annual compensation package of $55,000 a year. If we vote no, or if Richmond citizens vote no to this project, then again, we lose out on the conservative revenue estimate of $170 million a year over the next 5 years, and therefore making it that much more difficult from a fiscal standpoint to aggressively address our priorities as a city, or at least funding our priorities as a city. And so it is, and to your point, Maritza, there is no guarantee that if Richmond votes no to this opportunity in November, that we'll get a second bite at the apple. That's just the reality of it. We don't know. But what we do know, and what we do believe is that, we have a great project with the One Casino and Resort at a great location in South Richmond. This would be another economic engine in South Richmond to go right along with the Port of Richmond, the VA Medical Center. This would be in Philip Morris from a manufacturing standpoint. This would be an entertainment destination, provide a great amenity in terms of parking green space for Richmonders, destination in terms of, if folks don't want to go gamble, again, they can go and see a show, they can go and have a great meal, go watch football games on the big screen in the lobby areas or what have you. And so voting no, Richmond voting no to that, it really takes all of that off of the board. And so.
Hello?
Yes, you have a question from the phone?
Yeah, it's not really a question, it's comment. I agree with you totally. I believe that this is a great opportunity for Richmond, especially the south side of Richmond. It has not always received what it should have received. I'm just excited about it, looking forward to getting more information and any way that can help promote this great opportunity. I'm just all for it. It's going to create jobs, it's going to create revenue, and it's going to expose Richmond to the rest of the United States of America. So I'm excited.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So-
We have on our city website, which I posted in the announcements, and if you're on the phone, just Google RVA Casino and you'll find the city website. We have a list of FAQs. The questions that have come in have been very extensive, and we will be expanding our FAQs to add more questions. So please go to that website to look for other answers if your question was not answered today.
Maritza, can we take this one last question and then go ahead and close out for tonight since the gentleman
Sure.
asked?
The phone is at 2322, the last 4 digits.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brittany Bailey. I left a couple comments on the website a while ago. I want to say, how honored it is to finally have, something else get pointed out in Richmond other than its crime and, and everything that's going on. I had a couple of questions in regard that I had some questions from contractors actually. I work at Home Depot as a pro desk associate, as a consultant, which I order material for all in the DC area, Maryland area. So I will be able to help massively with this project as well. This is what Richmond needs. Everyone always looks at, the crime rate. This will help Richmond get notarized other than its crime rate. So this is something that we definitely need. I had a couple of questions from my contractors that wanted me to ask. Is it possible?
We only have time for one of your questions, and I apologize for that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had caught on too late, but this is awesome. It's awesome for Richmond, and I just want to say, like, if there's anything that I can do to help out, if we need more investors, if there's anything that I can do to help, I'd love for someone to reach out.
Great. Well, if you said you registered your questions on the website, I will go back through and make sure that we get you a response back. I would I'd be lying to you if I told you exactly how our construction workers are planning to source, the building materials and whether or not they're planning to do it through Home Depot or directly. But I will certainly ask that question to see what kinds of resources and products are going to be sourced at the retail level, which is what. But I'm sure you guys have professional, professional business to business opportunities as well. But I really do appreciate your enthusiasm and what you just said about what this means to Richmond.
One last question. Going once.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your question.
Yes, how y'all doing? My name is Ellery London with the Brooklyn Foundation Youth Academy here in Richmond. Everything y'all said has been wonderful. What I'd like to ask is, do you all plan to invest back outside of RPS into nonprofits to the youth to show them generational wealth, how they can go about becoming to be an entrepreneur, scholarships and things like that, preparing them for the future? Is there anything that you all would have and plan in place for the nonprofits that will be located in the city of Richmond?
Karanja, two things. One, we've made some significant commitments already to Virginia Union University, Reynolds Community College, reentry programs as well, affordable housing, in South Richmond, Habitat for Humanity. That's just the base level of commitment that we've made. The resort, is going to have its, an additional budget for community engagement and investment that will be outside of these hard commitments, that we've made, like the Black History Museum as well. And so the answer is yes. We just, there'll be a mechanism set up to engage with these community organizations, and you're going to be able to come and ask us, tell us what kind of support you're seeking, and we're going to adjudicate that, and hopefully we'll be helping you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So thank you everyone so much for joining us tonight. And thank you so much to Urban One and Peninsula Pacific Entertainment for also joining us tonight. I have the website up on the screen so you can see, this is the City of Richmond's website about the resort casino development. You can read a one-pager about the project. You can download the whole term sheet that Leonard Sledge has referenced, and you can also watch a video about the project, as well as reading those FAQs that are below. We are going to be expanding the FAQs and adding more to this as people continue to ask different questions. And then more details about that fourth phase of engage and inform will also be shared on this website. And then you can go to the Urban One website, which also has a lot of information about their project. So please take some time to dig through these, and we hope to continue the conversation with Richmond voters as everyone gets educated for the referendum in November.
Maritza, thank you so much for facilitating the conversation tonight. Great job as always. Mr. Liggins, to you, the Urban One team, also to the Peninsula Pacific Entertainment team, Karanja and Jamie on the line tonight, and everyone else, and everyone that makes up One Casino and Resort. Again, thank you so very much for your interest in the city of Richmond, to bring this transformational project to the south side of Richmond. The investment, the job creation, and more importantly, what it will do to help uplift the community is greatly appreciated. Thank you for again just working with us to negotiate a deal that is absolutely in the best interest of Richmond. So thank you.
Thank you, Leonard, and thank you, Maritza, for the opportunity to join tonight and speak to Richmonders. And I really do appreciate your hard work on behalf of the city of Richmond to make sure that there is a deal that made all the sense for all of the priorities that the city set out implicit in this process. And we're happy to be a catalyst.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.